All right, everyone. In this video, we're going to be going over, hold on. There we go. We're going to be going over how to build a high ticket. Oh my God. The focus is tripping. Hold on. There we go. How to build a high ticket program that sells itself. Now, the reason that we're going over this is, one, we're noticing an influx of people that they know generally what they want to help people with. Let's just say fitness as an example. They know that they want to help someone lose weight, X, Y, and Z, make them feel better about themselves. But we're noticing a general misunderstanding and a lack of infrastructure built on the front of literally, like, logistically how to get people results. Okay? So you can imagine for a second that the title of this right here, how to build a high ticket program that sells itself. Imagine if this was how to get people results with a high ticket program, right? And that results in you being able, in the program selling itself, because then you have more testimonials and stuff you could post on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, Y, and Z. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Vince Reich, CEO of highticket.com, and we are going to go over how to build a high ticket program that sells itself. First things first, before anything, is we need to map out the client transformation. Now, what does that mean? I'm just going to go straight to the Miro board. We need to map out the exact A to Z linear journey of where someone starts and where they're going to end in our program, right? Before state, end state, middle. Now, in order to do this, it's actually very simple. You can do it in a visual diagram, kind of how we have it here. This is one of our back-end assets that we have our clients use to kind of just get a general visualization of it. You can do it, just writing on a doc. You can. The visual helps a lot, though. So in this case, let's just say for our fitness offer, you need to first identify where prospects are before coming through your offer. A really good way of summarizing this in your own head is, if you need to kind of really quickly and simply outline this, think about your target audience that you need to be speaking to is the mentality you were in 18 months ago, or where you were before the journey of achieving the transformation, getting the results of where you're at the current present. So in this case, this is where prospects are before coming through your offer. So just some examples of some things you need to write down is pains, being they want to feel comfortable in their own skin, want to be more attractive to opposite sex, want to be viewed as high status by other members of the same sex. You need to go really, really base here. You can't just be like, yeah, they want to have better skin. No, it has to go deeper. You have to go way deeper. They want to feel comfortable in their own skin. They want to be more attractive. They hate their low energy and their lack of mental clarity, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what's the solution to each of these 5 primary pain points? Lose 10% of body weight, program design, put on muscle while losing fat, X, Y, and Z. I know that I'm going kind of quick here, but it's kind of obvious. And plus, you guys can totally pause the video. That's also, a thing. So you need to outline the exact, start with before state, then do the end state, and then you input a overarching solution. You don't go in depth yet. You will later, but not yet. So you're going to start here. Oh, shit. Hold on. Okay. So pains first, dream second, overarching solutions to the pains that achieve the dream first. Not in depth. I'm going to say that one more time. I wouldn't really worry about this yet. This is a lot more in depth. However, in this case, just focus on this. Pains, solution, dream. Once you get that mapped out, it becomes really, really easy to go into the next step, which is write every single step from A to Z. And I'm going to give you guys an example of our own back-end protocol for our program. So it is literally our own, this is what our docs and modules look like. Also, don't even try to pull this crap because we have it gated. Oh, geez. Okay, there we go. So you need to, you could start with some mindset modules that you can never really go wrong with that, but you go literally step by step, write down every single micro thing that needs to happen in exact order, right? Every single thing that needs to happen in exact order all the way from A to Z, right? Super, super simple. Every single micro step. I'll give you an example of how in-depth you should go. Okay, so this is like a script structure, right? As an example, with examples inside it. And it has literally templatized variables. All right? Like, a good example. I'll try to give you a really good visual example. Stand by. Well, literally word for word example. We put down an exact word for word script that we used for a single video that got us 27 booked calls, 49 captured leads, and 16,000 cash collected from a single TikTok. Doing things like this, making and breaking down your entire backend protocol and program with an overarching explanation and examples, preferably written. I would not recommend doing video until you have it down on paper. For example, we didn't have any of these videos in until maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and we still got, Gabe to 57,000 a month, Alistair to 38,000 a month, X, Y, and Z. If you guys have seen those other YouTube videos, those ones are pretty recent. You don't need videos. Really, written content gets the point across, and it's like way more task-based, right? So I know I'm going kind of quick here, and I'm kind of darting around, but this whole process is way fucking easier than most people make it. I'm just going to be 1,000% real. So when it comes to each individual micro module that you do on the back end, you're going to make an overarching templatized explanation of it with transplantable variables. Like this is a good example, is like giving structures of a script, and then you place down literal examples of what needs to be done. So in the case of a fitness program, that's pretty obvious, but it would be like, perform this workout, and you give a video showing the form of the workout. Like a lot of this stuff can be, transplanted across niches. So yeah, you're going to write every single step from A to Z. This is the longest part of it. This is the most, not complex, but it's like when you're writing essentially SOPs for clients, surprisingly, that is much more time consuming than anything else. And for what reason, I cannot explain it. At least it is for Liam and me with us. Writing SOPs and the protocol out is the most time consuming. It's not the hardest, but it's the most time consuming. So after that, you're going to build an impossible to fuck up progression table. And I'll show you an example of one of our clients, like Simon. So it is an extrapolation of the linear task list protocol. However, it's literally, you can click on and off. So it's like you gamify it. And it has percentage bases as well as coaching call attendance, and links to each sub video and exact time frames attached. The time frames are extremely necessary. Okay? Because you almost have to treat it not like you're babysitting other people, but you have to make it like, this needs to be done in this time frame. This is how to do it, all the way from A to Z, right? Just like here, this is like you build this portion of your protocol and your backend as how do I put this? As an overarching bank for everything. Like this is the general, go through it in this direction. And this is the literal, do it in this time frame, and here's the link to the resource for you to do it. It's impossible to fuck up, right? Next is your weekly group calls. This is absolutely mandatory. You need to have this in your program. I wouldn't recommend doing one-on-ones at scale. That starts to break down. Obviously, if someone's pushing for it and they're willing to pay for it, absolutely run it. However, weekly group calls are effective as, you shouldn't treat them as just like, let's just chat about what's going on. It should be more like status reports. That's how Liam and I, when we're on our group calls, it's like, it is a in-depth status report where every single person that's on, hey, Nick, What's the status on X, Y, and Z from the last call, right? So it's almost like you're extrapolating from here. If you're starting to kind of get the picture here, you start here with mapping out the entire client transformation. Then you extrapolate that to the steps. You extrapolate that to the time frame, and you are checking on them in the group calls. Hold on. Oh God, hold on. I need to check which email. Okay, so here's a good example. Like, our group calls are 2 times a week. And on these calls, we do the status check-ins. It's literally that fucking simple. It's literally that simple. I'm not joking. So yeah, you're going to use those as status reports for each client. And on the group call, it needs, and the last, this is the last thing I'm going to say on this point. The reason that you need to do these status reports in a group setting is that it prevents people from being vaginas. When they show up on calls, what ends up, like, as people start to assimilate into your community that you're developing over time, people start to know each other. And especially if you have a community where it's not necessarily competitive, but like with guys in it, it's primarily male. Like ours is, for example. Ours is primarily male clients. And what starts to happen is as people assimilate and people know each other, they want to be the guy that's making the progress. And then you can have, for example, you are, oh God, hold on. Then you have a wins channel where people can brag to each other, right? So it's a mixture of using social science to your own advantage, because you're using people's natural inclination for competition in order to push them further in terms of getting results. So you're weaponizing their own psychology on the back end of your program to get results. Like, people think that like group calls and shit, it's so like, oh, it's like out of laziness. It's like, no, people legitimately get better results with group calls. One-on-one is horse shit. I personally have never benefited from there. Okay, I take that back. That's cap. There's very, very, very rare cases where that is useful, but it's like you need to be making like huge moves happening. That's the only time one-on-one is useful. Outside of that, group calls are the most fantastic thing on the planet when you're running them as like status reports. Report in front of everyone what you've been up to and if you've been making progress or if you've been a lazy vagina. So that's that. And then finally, using sales call requests and back-end questions to stack the progression table and your protocol. So that's a little bit more self-explanatory. I'll go a little more in depth for a sec. The requests that you get on sales calls, like a good example of this is like when our sales reps, when they tell us like, hey, we got this request, this person was asking about a content calendar, this person was asking about an app. Cool, we'll just fucking build it. And now more and more of the market, as they are aware of us, X, Y, and Z, as more and more of the market becomes aware of us and is coming in our sales funnel and coming onto these calls, we can just have that pre-built, ready to go, and integrate it in this fashion, or integrate it into the central portion here as part of the solution, right? Because once again, this is all like a circular machine where you start with the client transformation, then you batch all the A to Z of what needs to be done, and then you build that into a time frame as well with all the assets attached. So yeah, I mean, sales calls, if you think about sales calls, is really like, it's just where you're getting feedback from the market as to what they want from you. You start operating a little better. Like when you start treating sales calls as like just scientific data collection, that's literally it. So super simple. And then back-end questions, that's literally on like the back-end, like coaching calls or in Slack channels, school, X, Y, and Z. People are going to ask you, for certain features, for certain, can you guys help me with this? And once again, you just build it into the progression table or the asset base or the protocol, right? The Google Doc. It's literally that simple. I'm not joking when I say like it takes time to build this. This isn't just like, whip this shit up in 24 hours. It definitely takes longer than that, especially if you're doing it right. But it is really this simple. And when it comes down to it, how to build a high ticket program that sells itself, it is actually this simple, and people fucking love it. People are so over just like the whole like, yeah, just buying a video course and then fucking off after that. People want like a task list, and they want more of like a strongman protocol where it's like, do this at this time, and this is exactly how you're going to do it. And then the group calls are basically where you're keeping people accountable. It's old-fashioned in the angle and the mentality of the approach, but it gets results. All right, guys, that is the simple outline of how to do this, of how to build a high-ticket program that sells itself. If you guys would like to get more direct assistance on scaling your own high-ticket program, I will leave a link in the description. You can go to highticket.com and see our case studies. But other than that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and keep scaling.